if we could know as the public that somebody said no to a fight and then watch them move down out of the rankings, I think that would bring some sort of urgency or bring some sort of
accountability.
Accountability, that's it, to these fighters.
What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So Nick, Islam Makhachev is basically saying same story, different day.
Yep.
He has now come out and posted a tweet saying that RDA has turned down a fight with him, as well as Paul Felder. And this is something that we've kind of talked about for a while here on this channel, is Islam's stagnation, not because of his own skills or his own willingness to fight, but the difficulty that the UFC has in finding him a dance partner. It seems to be continuing.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a bit of a disease that's been running around the 170 division of guys not wanting to fight other guys. And it's almost like what they've done is they go, okay, everybody hold on to their numbered ranking right now. Everybody just stay where you're at, and then they can't move us around if nobody agrees to fight each other, right?
Yeah.
And now I hope that isn't trickling down into the 155 division, but if people like Paul Felder and RDA are refusing to fight him, then he's just going to, start moving up by not having to fight. We just saw it happen with Michael Chandler. He just tiptoed his way right into a title fight.
Yep.
And all he had to do was keep saying yes, and all everybody else had to do was stay out of his way and keep saying no. And at some point, Dana White and the rest of the UFC goes, well, somebody has to fight.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to, start contesting for the title or being a number one contender. And since nobody's raising their hand except for this guy, we're just gonna have to put him to the top.
At some point, you can't continue to punish somebody for someone else's mistakes,
right,
or somebody else's unwillingness to do a certain thing. Now, there are always three sides to every story:
right,
your side, my side, and the truth.
Yep.
And those are usually three very distinct and very different stories. And I'm sure Paul Felder and RDA do have their own side of the story, and I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But the recurring theme seems to be that nobody wants to fight Islam Makhachev,
right,
which I find very strange for RDA, because he had already been signed to fight Islam.
Yeah.
That fight had already been announced, so you would think that he would have no problem just jumping back in there, especially since Islam has now come up in the rankings a bit, and this fight has a little more meaning to it.
Yeah.
We do know RDA is trying to get that belt one more time in his career. I think with all that he's done in his career, a win over Islam would put him right back into title discussion. So I'm a bit perplexed by that one. I'm really curious to see what RDA says in response to this, essentially this call out by Islam on Twitter.
Yeah, and Islam's he's a tough character to deal with because he's not ranked all that high. He is very, very skilled, very, very good, and signed off by the GOAT of the 155 division, in Khabib, that he's the next coming of him, and he's going to take the belt as soon as he gets his opportunity. And while he is a big star and his star is rising, he's still not really well known around here in America yet. So a loss to him can set somebody back further than a win for Islam can catapult him up towards the top. So I get why some people are a little bit hesitant, but this is the fight game. What you have to do is keep saying yes. When you keep saying yes and you keep agreeing to doing things, tough nights out, you're going to keep getting the call. And you know what? When it's a fight and you're at the top level, if you're a top 15 or a top 10er in the UFC's whatever division, you have a chance to beat that person. It's not that lopsided when you get to the very, very top of the heap. And I feel like, Islam Makhachev is quickly going to just keep jumping people, and it might even come in a way of rankings. You might see people start sliding back without even having fights, and the people moving in front of him not even having fights. We could literally see something like that happen. And to be completely honest, I wouldn't hate that. If we could know as the public that somebody said no to a fight and then watch them move down out of the rankings, I think that would bring some sort of urgency or bring some sort of
accountability.
Accountability, that's it, to these fighters.
Yeah. That's actually really interesting, and that would be that level of transparency would be good, I think. To see, okay, RDA didn't move in the rankings, but Paul Felder did. And I'm not picking on Paul Felder. I'm just simply completely using him as an example here.
Yeah.
So then maybe we know, okay, Paul maybe said no, and RDA, they're, he's got an injury, or maybe they're working something out, or the date doesn't match up. So you might be able to tell the story through the rankings, but at the end of the day, the rankings are important, and I think that they do hold a lot of meaning and hold a lot of water, but not when you just hold on to them so tightly that you're unwilling to fight somebody who's ranked 2 or 3 spaces behind you.
Right.
I think if you're number 5 and they offer you number 8, you should be more than willing to defend your position at number 5, rather than say, no, I want to hold out for something else. Now, and I do believe styles make matchups, and Islam Makhachev versus Paul Felder, or Islam Makhachev versus RDA, my pick would be Islam in either of those fights, but I'm more intrigued by the RDA fight, and RDA is a great Brazilian champion. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. You would think that he would want to pay homage to his roots and take on this great Russian wrestler and show that, hey, maybe Brazil's still got the best grapplers in the world, and I can contend with this guy on the ground. I've fought at 170. I'm strong. I'm the guy that ragdolled Anthony Pettis when he was in his prime. So you would think, I would think that RDA would be more apt to jump in on this fight. Paul Felder's got a lot on his plate with the commentating, and at one point he didn't know whether he was retired or not, and he's kind of been enticed out of retirement since, and so who knows what's going on there. But I'm very surprised that Islam has now come out and said RDA won't take the fight, and I'm extremely curious to know if that's actually true.
Yeah, and who knows? As far as the wrestling goes, that's a tough night. RDA is an amazing grappler. Then we saw what Michael Chiesa did to him. So if people are saying that Islam is the next version of Khabib, and Khabib's the best wrestler of the sports scene in a meaningful period of time, then what could Islam do to RDA? And that might be something that's looming in RDA's mind, if in fact he did say that he wasn't interested in the fight. But at some point we got to see Islam fight again. Yeah. The only way he's going to keep rising as a star is if he keeps competing. And if there's only a short list of people that are going to fight him, you just got to start pairing those guys up with him. And it might be, I bet you he would fight Tony Ferguson. I bet you, cause Tony Ferguson's not going to say no to anybody. He's about to fight a tough Beneil Dariush, and at the level Ferguson is at, with the resume he's got at the 155 division, he could be one of those jerks that sits around and says, I'm not fighting until you give me Conor McGregor. And you know what? He could have a pretty good case for that.
Right.
I'm not fighting until you give me Justin Gaethje again. I want to and he could probably get those fights. But no, he's letting people that from a little bit higher up in the ranks get their opportunity against a living legend like Tony Ferguson, and that's a really cool thing. So I feel like one of those types of guys is who we're going to see Islam get paired up with.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Islam against the winner of Dariush versus Ferguson. The only problem and downside to that is I don't see any set of circumstances where both guys don't come out of that fight busted up. So we got to see some activity from Islam. We got to see him back in there. And, Islam Makhachev, to date, and on this channel, has generated the most views of any video that we've put out. Wow. So, I know a lot of people are saying that Islam's not quite a big star yet, and that he's still building, and that may be true here in the United States and other English-speaking countries. But one thing we know about the Russian fans and the Muslim fans is they absolutely stand behind and show up for their athletes, and I really respect that. And so I think a lot of these people are miscalculating how much a win over Islam might mean for somebody like an RDA. As I said, I would have never expected that he would be the most viewed video on our channel thus far, but he in fact is. Yeah,
so his star is for sure rising. And I think, Kevin Lee is also one of those names that's constantly been looming around Islam. He seems to be one of the guys that's not afraid to fight Islam. I don't think that if they offered it to him, he would turn it down, but pretty soon we're going to have to see one of these guys in there with him. And I feel like Islam's going to be the favorite no matter who they pair him up against, unless it's against the very, very top, the top 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys in the 155 division. But either way, I'm very excited for Islam's next move, and I know you are too.
Oh, most definitely. Guys, thanks so much for watching the video. We really appreciate it. Let us know in the comments, who should Islam fight next? And do you believe his tweet that RDA and Felder are turning him down? Or do you think there's something else at play here? As always, if you've enjoyed the comment, we really do appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe. And check us out on audio where you listen to those podcasts. Until next time, have a great day.
Peace.